and have a wonderful day. We are today here for Fabrikod with a guest from Texas. I welcome Moneet Singh. Welcome, Moneet.
Hi.
Moneet is the founding partner of Active Media, product marketing and product development consultancy. And he's based in Texas, but because he's working online, he's basically worked with all around the world, I assume. Yeah, and Moneet, I think you have a background in architecture, but you transitioned into tech, or you started off with tech, you just told me. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I went to Carnegie Mellon, and at the time I was doing my undergraduate in architecture. And this was just about the beginning of the whole dot-com boom when I was graduating. I started working with a professor who was looking at what at the time were called expert systems, decision support systems that are the precursors to many of the predictive AI that we're using today. So this is quite a long time ago. And trying to figure out how those tools can be used to better plan and predict corporate real estate decisions, everything from where you're going to put a car dealership to where's the best location for your Starbucks. And I started working with him on that tech, and it became really interesting to me about how new technology can be used to transform older industries. And then I very quickly went off, that was the beginning of the dot-com boom. So, transitioned to working for a startup that was actually trying to build the first version of, you can think of WeWork today. They were a remote and virtual company management consultancy, and they were helping companies kind of get started. It's ironic that it took, several decades and a pandemic to make people finally realize that the technology could support that kind of virtual work. Worked for them for a while, and then got my MBA, and then started working in other startups. I went to work for as a product lead for the first company providing a healthcare savings account education platform. So working in the insurance industry. And then my business partner at the time and I started a company that was a mobile payments company. And that was kind of like a precursor to something like a Venmo that you see today or a Zelle. And sold that company to a company here in Texas. And then I started another company because I thought, well, what's sort of interesting to me is learning. I've always been a curious person. So I started an online learning platform called Seminars. Ran that for about 10 years. And in that time, I started getting more and more into digital marketing because a big component of any sort of platform for content management, which is what we built from the ground up, is how do you get people to read the content and how do you get people to then buy the services from you. And so I got very much into digital marketing. This is kind of at the beginning of what you, I guess, would call the Web 2.0 movement after the great dot-com bust, and getting into performance marketing, digital performance marketing. So essentially like conversion marketing and affiliate marketing, and tried to figure out how can I start applying these content marketing strategies, conversion marketing strategies, rather than the standard brand marketing, which everyone does, show an ad, tell you why the product is great, versus make an offer and get somebody to do something and to engage with your product, which is what more traditional conversion marketing is about, and see if that could be applied to B2B services. So I've been working for the last few years, primarily helping B2B tech companies build digital conversion marketing strategies using all the stuff that I've learned from the entrepreneurial side over the many years.
Okay, so you've been an entrepreneur in the agency field in the US. So what kind of challenges and opportunities have you faced during this time?
So like I said, when we started off, the first thing I wanted to do was to try and bring this idea of how do you do conversion marketing into what has been more of traditional brand and broadcast, if you will, marketing, like explaining what the systems and services that you're offering are. Conversion marketing tries to invite the potential customer into your process by saying, here's a free tool, or here's an access to the platform, or even, sign up and start using it at one tier. That traditionally hasn't worked in B2B because the ticket size is very different, right? Your sales cycle is very long. And so that leads to account-based marketing. And we've been doing a lot of account-based marketing, which essentially says, look at your target list, figure out how to group smartly, both within an account, the personas that you want to talk to. So, you need to close a sale for a tech platform, you've got to talk to engineering, you have to talk to marketing, you have to talk to finance. So making sure that when you're talking to your accounts, you have the right dialogue with the right personas and the right offers for each of those folks. So what is it that you're trying to provide them with so that they can actually get some value without even buying your product yet? And then outside of that, how do you group your accounts so that your go-to-market is efficient, right? Because you can do broadcast campaigns that appeal to everyone but are so generic, or you can start doing more targeted account-based strategies that allow you to speak more specifically to both an industry and the intent of the buyer. And so it's been interesting because just in the last 3, 4, 5 years, really, a lot more data sources have come online to let you say, well, we know that somebody at this account is concerned about the following topics. So now how do we then take that information and convert it into a marketing campaign that speaks to what we know that the intent of the company is, but you still don't know who that specific person is, right? Because that data is sort of obscured. So you have to come up with a marketing strategy that says, well, we think that for a company that's in the automotive industry, that we know that people inside the company are searching for this topic or trying to learn how to solve this problem. So now let's create a way to attract them by saying, hey, we've got a solution, and come and try the solution right away. So a lot of that stuff has evolved very quickly. It's sort of like what I'm calling ABM 2.0, which is where if ABM 1.0 was sort of looking at account strategy and trying to be very clear about it, ABM 2 is saying, well, here's the data signals that we're getting from what we know that account is doing. Let's group them by intention and outcome, and then speak to them at the account level. And then within that, speak to them at the persona level. So it's a multiple level kind of approach to marketing that can go off the rails very quickly because it's like a lot of complexity, but also can be very powerful because you can actually then educate the customer and get them to a point where they can either not have as much time to close the deal because you've done that, or B, they can actually become your internal advocates. You can have them become kind of mobilizers within your organization. If you find a champion within one group, maybe they would be able to say, hey, let's buy this product because it does this, this, and this, and makes the sales effort a lot more efficient. So a lot of that stuff is really relatively new, and a lot of it is driven both by the data sources that are available and by artificial intelligence, because now you can extract some of those threads and start constructing campaigns that are more bespoke as opposed to one-off. But it's a very quickly evolving area.
That's right. So companies are really now starting to make meaning of that data, I believe, right? And you've had some experience with that from years ago, as you just said, from almost 20, 30 years ago. That's very much forward thinking. And about your experience with SupplyFrame, we've worked on that together with Fabrikod and you. How has it been different, like working with SupplyFrame as a high-tech firm compared to other companies, other fields? Can you give me any specific examples for that?
Yeah, so one of the great things about working with a company that is essentially a tech company that's trying to also provide data and insights to their customers, right? Their entire business is about, here's really cool and unique insights about what you may not know is happening because of how they collect their information and data. That means that they're also very open to, hey, here's these tools that are available. How do we actually use them? So like I gave the example of intent topics, right? There are data sources that you can say, here are potential intent topics. They actually were really open to this idea, being like, well, that's really cool. Like if you tell me that we can take a look at an account and we think that these are the things that the people at the account are searching for, let's recombine our marketing campaign to make that happen. And so some of the leadership there is just very open to how do we actually use that same kind of technology that we're offering to our customers to make our campaigns more effective. And I think you see that your team and our team collaborated to help them redo their marketing website, and a lot of that was about how do we actually develop the messaging in a right framework that breaks down at the industry level, at the solution level, and and allows you to drive people to the right page when they come in on the site, as opposed to kind of getting lost on all the potentiality, because they also have a very complex set of products. So clarity is possible if the team is interested and willing in experimenting and trying new approaches. And so that's one of the benefits of working with those sort of more progressive companies, because you don't have to explain to them why knowing that this data is available can transform your marketing process. And I think that's helped also frame and drive metrics over time, because companies like this tend to be more data oriented. They want to see, here's a conversion. It comes in. What's the amount of time it took from when you get a lead to a sales closed won or a closed lost, for whatever the case may be? What are the steps in between? How are we monitoring and tracking it? And that really is great, because you can also say, hey, we're doing a really good job at the top of funnel. The project that we worked together on meant that they had a really great top of funnel website. We're getting a lot of traffic and we're getting a lot of conversions at the top of funnel. Now we've moved to, well, things aren't working as well as we'd like them to in the middle of the funnel. So now what's the data points that we can use there? So working with a company that's saying, hey, let's find the information, let's find the right tools, and let's solve the problem creatively is great. On the partner side with our client work, what's great about working, and I think this is something that is typical for a lot of folks that do what we do, which is essentially consulting services, right? We don't have a product. We're not in charge of it fundamentally. At the end of the day, we have to work with the client and be open to their feedback and adjust as they go. And of course, within a large company, or even in a medium-sized company, the people you work with then have their bosses, and their bosses have their bosses. And so, something comes in, you get something done, they show it to their boss is like, it's great. They show it to their boss, and that boss says, no, I don't like this at all, completely change it. And no one's done anything wrong, but you do have to adjust, and you have to be very quick on your feet. And that's what's great about working with your team. And that's the same thing that I have kind of on my team, is being able to say, look, you can propose solutions and you give the best advice and you deliver the best solution based on what the parameters are. But you also have to be flexible and understand, hey, things have to change and have to make them happen very quickly. And I think both of us have that mentality and mindset of, let's do what's going to satisfy the customer and make sure that it's done efficiently. And part of that then means that both our approaches is to say, let's not get locked in. Let's say, here's the approach, here's what we're going to do. But keep in mind that it may go this way, it may go that way, because that's, after, a few decades of this type of work, you start to understand that even what you let the best laid plans just kind of go awry as soon as you actually put something down in code. And so that kind of flexibility is really useful, and it's harder and harder to find because it's expensive. It can become very expensive if it's not managed well. And the team needs to have a kind of leadership on the customer side that, is willing to work with you. And so that's also luck of having good clients is an important thing too.
Great. Okay. I thank you very much for all the comments and sharing your experience and your what you've been through in this field. It's been great listening to you and talking to you. And thank you for our viewers for watching this video. Please follow us for more videos and please subscribe. Have a great day. Goodbye.